Welcome, everyone, to the next episode of From Struggling to Successful, Women's Stories Who Have Overcome Adversity to Achieve Happiness and Success. Today, I'm so excited to be interviewing Eva Wennes. Did I pronounce that right?
You did.
Okay, great. Eva is a Pilates instructor and corrective exercise specialist in the business of Biomechanics Method. And there goes my phone that I forgot to disconnect. So, Eva, welcome. I'll mute myself while you tell a little bit about what you do today.
Hi, Nancy. Hi, everybody. Nancy, thank you so much for inviting me to join you on your summit. It's such an honor. Thank you for the introductory. As you said, my name is Eva Wennes. I live in San Diego, California, where I operate a Pilates studio and a corrective exercise facility. My focus in Pilates and corrective exercise is on pain elimination. So I work with people who suffer from chronic pain and or have some kind of chronic condition. A lot of my clients have neurological disorders like multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease. I also work with people who have scoliosis, asthma. The way I got into this field is basically a lot of people turn to Pilates because their physical therapist, their doctor, their chiropractor, their massage therapist tells them that Pilates is a great way to eliminate pain. And just a couple of different reasons why I devoted my life to this. First of all, I used to be in chronic pain as well.
Really?
And second, I just really, really love to help people. So I feel like with my chronic pain background, I can really relate to people and I can make a big difference in their lives.
You know what? So many people suffer from chronic pain. I know so many people myself, lower back pain, foot pain. I can't even imagine what your life was like when you were in chronic pain. Like, how did that all develop and how did you cope?
You know, Nancy, I wasn't always a Pilates instructor. It feels like it was a different life when I had a desk job, like 90% of the population. And I spent at least 8 to 10 hours every day just, sitting at my desk. And that's one of the worst things for our bodies. Like,
yes, I do that some days.
These days, now we say sitting is the new smoking. And it's so true. It breaks people. Everybody is in pain because the human body wasn't designed to sit for, 8 to 10 hours a day. And that's just in the office. If you think about it, how many people spend like 45 minutes or an hour in their car driving to work, then add the commute back to home.
It's
then,
true.
People go out to dinners, to bars, then they're going to sit there for another hour or two. Then at home, people watch Netflix. And again, it adds up and you find yourself sitting for 16 or 17 hours a day. And your body thrives on movement and the human body hates sitting. So
I know, and we're all so used to doing it. So when you, how many years ago did you find yourself in chronic pain? It literally, one of my sisters suffers from chronic pain, and it's so draining on her energy level. And even I have some clients who are in chronic pain all the time. And it's just so hard to get up and go and do anything. And you may have goals and aspirations, but somehow it's just too draining to pursue it. So what do you do? Like, how did you do it? How did you find yourself in a position and what was in pain? And why do you think besides sitting, were you not exercising? And then how did you get yourself out of it?
I started having pain in my 20s.
Wow.
I was probably 28, 27, 28. I don't think I was older than that when I started having sciatica. I didn't know what it was. I wasn't in this field at that time. I knew very little, but I just went to the gym after work and it always made me feel better. And it's not that I had a well-designed corrective exercise program or a pain elimination program that now these days I prepare for my clients, I just moved, I did things that people do in the gym. I got on the treadmill, I used the machines, I did some free weights, I did some squats and lunges, some jumping, kicking, whatever felt right. And my body always appreciated it. I always felt better. And then, a few years went by, and I ended up really, really hurting myself on the ski slopes. I took a bad fall, my ski didn't come off, and I ended up tearing all the ligaments in my left knee. The recovery was very painful and very long, and I was a very active person before. I loved working out, I loved hiking, biking, and all of a sudden I was limping and my left knee was extremely stiff. So I had to cut back from gym workouts. There was very little I could do because I couldn't get up from the floor or get back down on the floor. I couldn't squat, I couldn't lunge, I couldn't jump. I was very, very limited. And also that was very frustrating for me because I was only 29 or 30 years old.
That's young, yeah.
So a friend of mine introduced me to Pilates, and I heard about it before, but I didn't know what it was. So I went to the gym with him, we took a Pilates class together, and I loved it. I was finally able to work out again. It was a mat Pilates class, so we spent the hour on the mat, so I didn't have to worry about getting up, getting back down, bending my knees. It was very, very accommodating for me. And I just loved it. I felt like I finally got a good workout. Also, it was very different from what I used to do before. There was a lot more mindfulness involved with the movements. I started paying attention to how I use my shoulders, how I use my abdominal muscles, how I use my hips. So it was just very eye-opening, And then...
Interesting though, Eva, because people think when they have a disability or a chronic illness or they're in chronic pain, I often see people automatically assume, well, I can't do anything. I can't do Pilates or I can't do yoga because they're going to make me blah, blah, blah. And it sounds like you were exposed to a solution where it was down on the mat. So in a starting out time when you were in a lot of pain and you had limitations, you could still do.
Nancy, I work with people on all kinds of fitness levels, but most of the time, my clients are very, very affected by pain, like severe joint pain, severe, limitations as far as what they are able to do. And I know that a lot of people shy away from exercising because they are worried that they can't do it or they're going to end up getting hurt even more than how they are at the moment. But everybody is able to move on a certain level. And that's the reason why I specialize in working with people one-on-one. I do not believe in group programs when it comes to dealing with chronic pain and working with people who have had pain for decades of their lives, So I used to actually teach Pilates in a bigger Pilates studio where we had about 6 clients at a time in every class. And as I said at the beginning, people turn to Pilates because they are hurting. So you can't put 6 people in a class who have different issues, because I feel like it's not completely safe. They don't get the attention that they deserve, and they don't get the benefits that they could have if somebody worked with them one-on-one. Also, when it comes to dealing with chronic pain, it's very important that we get a really, really good idea of the client's body. As you said at the beginning, I'm certified in the Biomechanics Method, which is an exercise program that was designed for people who suffer from chronic pain. And the biomechanics program always starts out with a very thorough body assessment. So every single client that I get, I take them through an assessment process where I basically draw a map of their bodies. I identify their pain points. I identify where their bodies are not moving properly, or as a matter of fact, they could have too much movement. I discover their faulty movement patterns. Basically, I look for clues of why their bodies are hurting. Okay, so at the end of the assessment, I have a clear picture of what my client needs and what kind of exercise program I need to design for them so they get the best benefits.
And did you do this yourself? Is this what was the turning point for you that you
Yeah.
decided you went from in chronic pain to doing Pilates, and then how did you turn to educate yourself? What made you decide that? And this is what I really want my listeners to know. When you're in chronic pain, but you have the desire to help people, there's still a path for you to be able to help yourself and just live the life that you want to live. So how did you do that? Like, what made you make those decisions? Who were your mentors, and what takes you to where you are today?
First I just started out practicing Pilates, right? I just enjoyed the benefits. And this friend of mine who took me to that first Pilates class, he always thought that I would make a decent instructor, and he encouraged me. But as you can tell, I have an accent, right?
Yes.
So I was just very shy of speaking in front of a group of people or a room full of people, and I was like, there's just no way that I can't do that. So a couple of years went by, and all of a sudden I don't know what switched in me, but I moved to a new city. I was trying to establish myself. I was looking for a gym where I could practice Pilates. And I took a Pilates class, and it didn't live up to my expectations. And I was walking home from the gym, and all of a sudden I thought, I could do this so much better. And that was my turning point. So I got home, I got on my computer, I started looking for Pilates certifications, and I found the one that I felt most comfortable with, one that gave me a very thorough knowledge, a good understanding of the Pilates programming. So I got certified in a Pilates studio. I took an apprentice. I signed up for an apprentice program. Then they offered me a job. I started teaching there. And in a couple of years, I basically transitioned from working in that studio to establishing my own facility.
Did you have a lot of doubts along the way, whether you were going into the right space, or you just loved it from the beginning?
I never had that.
Oh, that's fabulous.
I always got very positive feedback from the clients. We connected really well. I love people. The clients in that studio seemed to love me back, and there was just this great connection where I felt like I was in my place. And a couple of years went by. And all this, I don't even know how it started, but at one point I was having pain all over in my body. And I was so disappointed because I thought, I'm a Pilates instructor, I'm a Pilates practitioner, I'm helping people who suffer from chronic pain. I really believe in this exercise method. Why am I having pain all of a sudden?
Right.
Just the different areas where I was hurting. All of a sudden I had plantar fasciitis. And, I've seen clients with plantar fasciitis. They all had flat feet, fallen arches. They were overweight, so there was a lot of extra weight that they carried on their feet. I didn't feel like I fell into these categories, and I'm like, why am I hurting? Then my sciatica came back, and it flared up from time to time, and it was really, really bad when I was limping and I couldn't work out, or at least I had to shy away from a number of exercises because they just made me feel even more miserable. And on top of that, one day I woke up with severe neck pain. And so many people experience that, right? You wake up first thing in the morning and you're like, oh my God, I slept wrong. I can't move my head. I can't turn my head. I didn't think much about it. I thought it would just resolve itself in the next couple of days. And to my surprise, it didn't. And a month later, I was still suffering from neck pain. So I started seeing a chiropractor with some, results. I got some improvement, but overall, I wasn't that much better. And it never even crossed my mind to take meds or go see a doctor. I mean, I've got nothing against doctors. I think that there's definitely a time and a place to go and ask for medical help, but I just felt like that wasn't the solution for my problems. And sometimes people come into our lives for certain reasons. I met somebody who introduced me to a biomechanics specialist.
Oh.
And his name is Justin Price. He's the founder of the Biomechanics Method. I was fortunate enough to work one-on-one with him because he lived in San Diego at that time. And on top of that, we lived in the same neighborhood. So we often ran into each other when we were walking our dogs. So I started seeing Justin, who did an evaluation on me. And it was just so eye-opening. He the same assessment process that I described earlier that now I do for my clients, did that assessment for me. And I've never had anything like that done for me before. It was very eye-opening. All of a sudden, I realized what kind of postural deviations I developed over, the decades of my life, how I was using my body in a way that slowly but surely added up and manifested in pain. And Justin and I started working together. I was very, very dedicated to getting better. He gave me home exercises, and I went to see him about once a month for a program update. And the results did not come immediately. It's not the magic bullet, but over the course of 6 months, all of a sudden I noticed that I'm feeling 100 times better.
Wow.
And like all my aches and pains over the course of 6 months went away. And
that's fantastic.
I was ecstatic. And in the same time, I looked up to him so much. I respected him so much for who he was and how he helped me and how he helped so many other people, that I was like, I want to be like him. I want to be like Justin. I want to be able to help people and just be that person for them who offers them help, and not just offers, but lives up to their expectations and like really is able to help people. So by then, he designed a program for fitness professionals, and I was probably one of his first trainees. So nice. I signed up for the program. He trained me. It was fantastic. I started applying those principles in my life practice. So basically, I combined the biomechanics method with Pilates, and it was fantastic. And because I finally had a much better understanding of the human body, how the body is supposed to move and how we lose those movements along the way, in our lives, what contributes to pain, how we set ourselves up for pain by repetitively doing certain faulty movement patterns, or not taking our joints to their end range of motion, or just doing the same things over and over. It has very many layers. Pain has so many layers to it, why it finally, bursts out and becomes what it is. So I started combining the biomechanics method with Pilates, and also I started gaining a huge following. People who all of a sudden came to me because they've heard that I can help them. And
I would think people would flock to you. I really would. And what made you decide to become an online coach as well? Because I know you can help people online. What made you make that decision?
Because I want to touch more people. I want to reach out to more people. There are people who send me emails and they live in Africa or in Guatemala
Really?
or in Europe. And I know that I can help them. We just need to connect.
Yes.
And when somebody reaches out to me, sends me an email and says, do you have some kind of program where I could work with you? I can't fly to San Diego because I live in Philadelphia or I live in Mexico, but is there any way that you can help me? How could I say that I want?
Right. I just think it's amazing that you went from somebody who suffered from chronic pain from a little bit before and then the ski accident and then again, and you found a solution for yourself and then embraced it as your new path.
Yeah, and Nancy, I think that we meet people for a reason, and sometimes when a conversation takes place and somebody makes a suggestion or mentions another name or asks me if I know this or that practitioner, and I look into it, and I found some other mentors, some other people whom I really look up to along the way. For example, I'm also certified in applied functional science by the Gray Institute. The Gray Institute was founded by Dr. Gary Gray. He's a very, very forward-thinking, brilliant doctor of physical therapy who has a very different method and a very different approach from mainstream physical therapy. Basically, what he does is, as opposed to singling out an area of the body, so let's say that you have neck pain. You go to physical therapy, they prescribe you a number of physical therapy sessions, and they are going to laser focus on your neck.
Yes.
But what if your pain comes from your lower back? What if your neck pain is caused by your lower back or your hips? Who's going to take a look at that and who's going to fix that?
Right.
So in mainstream physical therapy, if you have neck pain, they're going to work on your neck. So Dr. Gary Gray looks at the body different. He looks at the body as a whole unit and approaches it more globally, as opposed to singling out the vertebrae of the neck and the musculature of the neck. He looks at the entire body, and he might treat your neck by treating your feet.
Really?
It's fantastic. We have certain moving rocks, big moving rocks in the body. One of them is the feet and the ankles. The second one is the hips and the lumbar spine. And the third one is the thoracic spine. If you have limitations or faulty movement patterns in those areas, sooner or later it's going to manifest in pain somewhere in the body. Not necessarily in the foot or in the ankle. It could be up in the shoulder, or it could be up in the hips, just depending on how you use your body and what you use it for. So for example, a tennis player could have excruciating lower back pain if their feet and ankles are not moving properly. Or a bus driver could have excruciating neck pain if their hips are not moving properly, or their feet or knees are not moving properly. Okay, so the pain is not always there where it hurts.
This is so interesting to me because I'm always in chronic foot pain. I mentioned this when we first chatted about doing this interview, and I thought, I need help. I'm in chronic foot pain. And it does. It kind of goes up my body once in a while. I wouldn't consider myself in chronic pain, but there are days, and it's usually because I'm sitting in this chair for too long. Because I used to be an exerciser. I was a personal trainer, and now I exercise less because I'm working more. And yeah, it's amazing how I'm not lubricating my joints, I'm not moving enough, and everything starts to hurt. And people think it's the opposite. I'm going to hurt if I exercise.
But as I said, exercise can be done on so many different levels, and there's something for everybody. I hear it so often that, I tried Pilates once and it was so hard and I can't do that. I have clients in their 80s, and one client is almost 90 years old. If he can do it, Anybody can do it.
I
It can be done on so many different levels. If somebody ever shied away from doing Pilates, it's because they did not start on the appropriate level. Also, a lot of times what I do with my clients is a combination of different things, a combination of what I learned in Pilates, what I learned from the Biomechanics Method, and what I learned in applied functional science in the Gray Institute. So my Pilates is not a clear traditional path, like oftentimes people contact me and they like, do you know somebody in Michigan who does what you do? No, I don't. Unfortunately, I this might sound like I'm bragging. Please know that I don't. But I sort of developed my own method.
Nice. You got to come out with the Ava method. A
Exactly.
combination. Well, I guess you have really, and you're spreading the word through the internet. I just want everyone to hear, and all of the women I've interviewed are so different. They all had a different stumbling block in their life, adversity, whether it be a relationship or pain, or everyone is so different. And all of you took that adversity and almost made strength from it and pursued something, almost found a new passion. In your case, to me, you found a new passion from something you were suffering from. And that's what I want everyone to realize, that sometimes what we struggle with ends up being our passion if we really pursue a solution to it. And that's what I hear from you. Like, that's what you've done. Now, I have to ask you, because I'm sure everyone's curious, how do you do this over the internet? Like, if I said to you, I'm coming to you, like, how do you do that assessment, and how do you do that?
It's very easy. It sounds like it's probably really complicated, but it's super easy. So what I do is I send a questionnaire to my client, very, very thorough questionnaire, when I ask them about everything, like how do you sleep? What, are you a back sleeper, side sleeper, stomach sleeper?
I just flip around.
Exactly. What do you eat? What, how does your foot feel? Do you ever get foot cramps? Do you ever get calf cramps? And we go up in the body. So I ask about every major muscle, every joint, so it's very, very thorough. Then, so they send me that questionnaire back. Then we get on a video call just like this. I can see them, they can see me, and we talk about their bodies some more. I do the assessment process over a video call. It's really not complicated. We just need a little bit of space in a room, probably just enough so they can take a few steps back and there's enough room to roll out a yoga mat. And I just ask them to do some basic movements for me. Like I check the flexibility of their feet and ankles. I watch how they stand on one leg. I watch how they bend over, how they raise their arms, how they turn their head. So it's really simple. We don't have to be in the same room, and we don't have to be face to face.
That's fantastic.
And after the assessment, I basically map out their bodies. I identify their pain areas and where that pain could be stemming from. And I put together a customized program for them. So it's broken down into weekly segments, and I very closely monitor it. I send over the program to my clients, and they are able to watch the videos online because I deliver it in video format.
Okay.
The videos are usually 4 or 5 minutes long, so it's really doable. It doesn't take up very much time. And we also get together on another video call when I walk them through the weekly exercises, the weekly routine that I prescribe to them. Then they can watch the videos in the comfort of their own home, and they just basically practice those exercises. And when I say exercises, please don't think that I prescribe planks and sit-ups and squats and lunges.
I was thinking that.
That's not how we start out. As I said, I created my own method to this. So I always start out with some self-myofascial release, which is basically just a fancy way of saying self-massage. I teach my clients how to eliminate muscle tension on their own. So they don't have to go and schedule a massage, or they don't have to wait till they get in with a practitioner, basically. Because people can spend a huge amount of money sometimes,
Oh, yeah.
on their pain. It's the doctor visits, the physical therapy sessions, chiropractic, massage, acupuncture, rolfing. There are so many wonderful practitioners. Medications, not to mention.
Right.
There are many wonderful practitioners who help people with their pain, but it can get very costly, and then it leaves the person who suffers from pain with that feeling that they can't help themselves. They always need to seek out the help of somebody else. But what if your neck starts hurting on Christmas Eve? Who are you going to go to?
Right.
Or what if you twist your ankle or you hurt your knee when you're on vacation? What you going to do to yourself? You can't wait 2 weeks till you get home, right? Or you can, but that will ruin your vacation.
Right.
So I teach my clients how to do these techniques for themselves so they don't rely on anybody and they start feeling better immediately. So my program always starts out with targeted myofascial release exercises. Anybody can do those. All you need is a foam roller or a tennis ball, and you just need to know the right technique, and that's what I teach. Then I also teach my clients how to stretch certain muscles in their bodies. You know how people say that, oh, I stretch. Yeah, but what do you stretch and why? Mm-hmm. Like, not every muscle in the body needs stretching. Some muscles are actually overstretched. So when I assess somebody, I identify which muscles need stretching and which muscles do not need stretching. And then we take it to the next level and we start strengthening certain parts of the body. Like when I take a look at somebody's body, I always identify their weaknesses and their postural deviations. If you have certain postural deviations, for example, your upper back is rounded, it's called kyphosis, or you have too much lumbar lordosis, too much curve in the lower back, or if your feet and your ankles collapse into the ground, then these postural changes also come with certain muscle weaknesses. So if I identify what muscles need strengthening, very quickly the client experiences relief from the pain because we are bringing balance back into the body. Also, there are certain primal movements that we all perform all day, every day. They make up our movements. There are 7 of these movements. One is gait, so walking or jogging. Mm-hmm. Then bending, twisting, pushing, pulling, squatting, and lunging. Every movement that we do during the day, for example, if you bend over to vacuum under the coffee table, then you do a lunge with a twist and with a bend. So it's a combination of those 3 primal movements. If you lift your suitcase and you put it in the overhead bin on the airplane, you're pushing. And you could be twisting too. So these 7 movements make up every movement that we do during the day.
Passion is amazing. It really is. And I really want everyone to notice that. Like, how does someone who's in chronic pain turn to then become so passionate?
Because there's a solution. And so many people are in pain, and I'm a problem solver.
Yes, and I think that was key. If you were to give advice to women or men who are in chronic pain and it's making them feel like they're never going to achieve their goals, they're never going to be able to do anything, never going to take those vacations in their bucket list that they want to do, what would that advice be?
You can't lose faith, and you have to keep looking until you find the right method for you.
Yeah.
Because there's always room for improvement. It doesn't matter if you have fibromyalgia, if you have scoliosis, if you have Parkinson's disease, there's always ways to improve. And I have, hundreds of clients who could prove that.
Yeah,
that
it's
you can always
improving
get better.
quality of life is what you're saying. It may not
Exactly.
be 100% for some people, depending on what ails them, but there's always a way to improve your quality of life to get you closer to.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
think
Like, for
that's,
example, I have a client who, um, she has very severe scoliosis, and she also has what's called post-polio disease. Um, and she has lots of aches and pains, and her exercise needs to be monitored closely. She cannot do too much. It has to be that perfect balance, you
mhm,
know. And she has a ton of aches and pains that were caused by surgeries, like they took a piece out of her femur in order to balance out her pelvis and fix her scoliosis when she was a teenager, you know. So there are things that were done to her body that nobody will be able to reverse. But
right.
still, she used a scooter, an electric scooter. She did not walk on her own, and she was very depressed, like anybody would be, you know.
Yes.
And her psychologist actually suggested to her that she start seeing me. And guess what? Today she sings in the choir. She walks with, not even with a cane, she walks without a
Really?
cane. Yes.
Yay.
And she has a much more active social life. She's a different person
Oh,
now.
of course. I mean,
So
that's like opening up your whole life to be able to do things again, not just be isolated.
absolutely. Like, her quality of life, she doesn't sit at home anymore. She's lost weight, she toned up, she's much more confident. She knows she can walk. She takes the stairs, she parks her car, you know, far away from the grocery store in the parking lot. So, and she challenges herself. She walks to the store, and it's just fantastic to see her.
Oh,
You
Ava,
know,
that's an
there's,
incredible story. That's
you
an
know,
incredible story.
everybody can improve. There's never a
Everybody.
lost case.
Yes, and now
And
she's singing in the choir. She's doing something she's probably always wanted to do. Again, this is about from like struggling to being happy and successful, this whole series. So not you're telling stories of your clients who have gone from struggling to creating their own happiness and success and whatever that means to them. It's a great story.
thank you.
I want to wrap up because I think we've been on for over half an hour, and I try to really keep these to a half an hour to respect everybody's busy time. But you have been an incredible guest. I want you to tell everybody how to find you. And I know you have a free giveaway for everyone that I'm looking forward to getting myself. So why don't you tell them where to find that? And I will have provided a link under this interview also.
Okay, so you can reach me online through my website. It's www.europilates-sd.com. And I'm actually going through a brand change. My business name is changing. My whole online face is changing. And my new website is going to be up and running hopefully in the next few weeks. I'm changing my business name from Euro Pilates to Pain Free for Life Pilates.
I love that.
And it's going to be a beautiful website, very functional. So please bear with me. It's going to be up in a few weeks. But until then, you can always reach me through www.europilates-sd.com. My email address is europilates@gmail.com.
And did you have a free giveaway?
I do have a free gift, and I encourage everybody to claim it because I think it's awesome. It's a 3-part video series, and my main focus is on eliminating back pain. So you can get a little taste of how I work with people, what kind of exercises I prescribe, what my approach is. I've got really, really good feedback on these exercises, and I highly recommend it to everybody.
Thank you so much, Ava. You are not only a source of a struggling from being in chronic pain to becoming someone who helps other people go from struggling to happy and successful. So I really appreciate you being here with us today. And I hope everybody takes advantage of Ava's free offer. I think we all have back pain at some point in our lives or know somebody who does. And of course, contacts you for your services online or live if they're in San Diego, because some of my people are. So I will say goodbye to you, Eva, and thank you, and goodbye to all of our listeners. And I will see you on the next interview.
Thank you so much, Nancy, for including me.
Thank you for being here. Bye.
Bye-bye.